Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, the beautiful people here in Nevis, those in St. Kitts, those who are listening across the Caribbean. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States and Canada, those who are over there in the pond, in the United Kingdom. Good evening to you. Across the pond, I ought to say, in the United Kingdom, good evening to you. Good evening, people like Jackie. I know you're listening, Jackie. We were talking about you just today. I hear you're coming down for Culturama and you're bringing all of England with you. So we welcome everyone who's going to be here for Culturama, and we certainly look forward to seeing you all. Good evening and welcome to another edition of On The Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and of course we're here every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. for 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. We feel that we are making our own contribution in our own way to freedom of expression here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and by so doing we're helping to strengthen our democracy. On this show, we accept all shades of public opinion. We don't care whether you agree with us or disagree with us. That's not important. What's important is that in terms of our public dialogue and discourse, we are respectful to each other and we respect the standards that the show has set, and certainly the standards that Von Radio has set, because we know here at Von Radio only the best will do. You're listening to VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, 860 on your AM dial, and I know many of you are tuned in via YouTube and Facebook, going live, streaming live. It used to be that I would be here all by myself, not knowing if anybody was listening to me. Now we know who's online. We can tell that people are listening, people are watching, people are commenting, and that perhaps is the benefit of modern technology. And so we say good evening to all of you. Now I'm going to go to my phone because I have a someone whom I have to say hello to, and I would be lying if I told you I knew how to pronounce the name. So let me see if I can find it. I was given specific instructions to say hello. And who am I saying hello to? They told me to give hello to a Mr. Steve Giancristoforo. Steve Giancristoforo, or Steve G, is in New Jersey. I'm told, Steve G, that you're an avid listener of the show. We know you're a former police officer. You still work with the police department, and you're an APCO trainer. And if people are asking why I'm giving a shout out to Mr. Giancristoforo, or Steve G as they call him affectionately, because I'm told he listens to the show all the time. He knows everything that's going on in Nevis, and he was recently in Nevis training our dispatchers. He was the man who has facilitated the training of our emergency dispatch personnel. And so Steve G, if you're listening there in New Jersey, P.S. Shalisa Martin and the entire team and all of us here in Nevis want to say thank you, and certainly we want to say hello to you. Since I'm at the top of the show, let me also at this point in time send out some condolences. Of course, today we had the funeral service of the late Berkeley Rufus Dorr of Bart Village, one of our top fishermen here in the island of Nevis, perhaps in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and he had a beautiful send-off today. I want to again express my condolences to his family. I was quite impressed at the number of people who came out for the service today at the Methodist Church under the tent, as they say. And they say that you know how somebody lives by how many people come to their funeral, especially when people don't feel compelled to come. So it's not some politician died and you feel you must show your face. This is an ordinary Bart villager who did extraordinary things. And so again, to the family, I extend my condolences. While I'm extending condolences, let me send condolences as well to my brother and friend Patches Pemberton, right there in Church Ground area. Patches would have lost his brother Alfred Pemberton in St. Martin. Patches, I have spoken to you privately, but let me also now express my condolences publicly, and to all the Pemberton family. I know Alfred quite well. He's somebody who was often here, and I'm truly, truly sorry to hear of the loss to the family and of his untimely passing. I know it was unexpected, and when death is unexpected, it's even worse, perhaps, than times when people are ill, and so we kind of expect, or the doctors say, prepare yourself. In this instance, it was quite sudden. And so for all of us, I consider myself a member of the Church Ground community, so from all of us in Church Ground, Patches, if you're listening, our deepest condolences to you and the entire family, to the family in St. Martin and wherever you may be, on the passing of your brother Alfred. Just so you know, Sandra Prentice, my dear friend, asked me to specifically mention that she extends her condolences as well. And I know that Dolores and Pretty and the entire group there in Church Ground would want me to join them in extending condolences to you. And so, Patches, I pray and hope that all of our prayers will comfort you in your hour and time of bereavement. As I move from that sad note to a happy note, I think that most people would have heard that my older daughter Brianna got married. She got hitched. She tied a knot this past weekend, to a fine young man from St. Kitts called Mark Pennyfeather. I want to thank the Pennyfeather family for accepting us into their family, and certainly to welcome them into our family. I want to thank Marsha and Ken, mom and dad of, I was about to say groom, but of the husband. And they were incredibly gracious people. They had a lot of family members who came from all around the world. Those who know my daughter Brianna know she does things her way, and I think that it was a very elegant affair. I want to thank all who came, all who had that interest in being there and being there for this young couple. They're off to their honeymoon, and so I am wishing them all the very best. I anticipate they won't be listening to radio. I don't know if people listen to radio when they're on honeymoon, but if anybody were to see them anywhere, tell them that I love them and I wish them well. So congratulations to Mark and Brianna, and I wish you a lifetime of happiness together. Now that I have those few matters out of the way, I want to say to you that I have a special guest here with me this evening, and he's no stranger to radio. I don't believe he's been on the Mark before, however, and I speak of none other than Dr. Tivon Brown. Now, Dr. Brown, I got a note that you'd be here because you're having a special event that you want the public to be aware of, and so I welcome you to the show, and I turn things over to you so that you can explain to us what's happening, what you're involved in, and how it is going to benefit the people of Nevis. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Honorable Brantley. Okay, so everybody, hello to the listeners out there. My name is Dr. Tivon Brown. I'm a district medical officer representing the Ministry of Health Nevis, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming health fair that we have, the Men's Talk Health Fair. This is going to take place on June 9th at the Malcolm Gishard Park, Nevis. That's the coming Sunday. So at this fair, we're focusing on men's health and men's well-being. At this fair, we'll have different health checks going on. We'll have specialists who are going to come and talk about vascular health, renal health, prostate health, stress relief techniques, physical activity techniques, everything you could think of that a man needs for his health and well-being. We'll also have fun games. Grill masters will be there. Chef Michael Henkel will be there cooking up for the people, and prizes will be there to win. We'll have small groups and discussion panels to talk about health issues that men face on a daily basis.
So can I ask you, Dr. Brown, why is it that you and the ministry and in terms of the work that you do, why is it that you are focused on men? Is there a specific reason why you decided you're going to have a men's fair? Seems to me that you want the men of Nevis to come out and for them to have a greater interest in their health. But why did you think that was necessary?
Okay, well, the month of June is known as the Men's Health Month, and the ministry, in collaboration with Lake Health and Wellbeing and the Taiwanese ICDF, they came up with this idea of putting on something for men specifically. It's hard to get men to come out. It's hard to get them to talk about their health, and sometimes the men usually say not much is being done for them. And we want to give them a chance to kind of turn that around and give them something special that they could show up to, and we reach them in a way that they would appreciate, have fun, and also kind of get to a better place with their health.
So let me ask you this. You're indicating that in your experience that men are less inclined to come forward. Why do you think that is?
We kind of built up as men in this society to be the stronger ones, the breadwinners, the ones who don't really show emotion or cry, or the ones you could lean on. And when you speak about health, sometimes people are afraid of getting bad news, and I feel like most men out there, they don't want to get that bad news and kind of be seen as vulnerable and weak. So they kind of avoid the healthcare system in a way. But we want to kind of tell them and show them that it's better to come out, get checked, get your health in order, and kind of be around longer for your family and friends.
it's quite interesting that you say that, because it seems to me that some of the counseling and some of the interventions you need there might also be psychological and sort of sociological. You need people with that expertise, because we need to break the back of that sort of stigma. You know, you said something there, and I think it is so appropriate, because a female child is allowed to show emotion and is allowed to cry and all that. The little boy, you know, who cries, you tell him, shut up, man up, you know, be a man. And so men are sort of, you know, brought up in a culture in the Caribbean especially, where we, as you say, you don't cry, you don't feel pain, you know, you need to bear it, you need to whatever. And that translates into a sort of attitude by a lot of men that they're not going to, like you say, go to the doctor. I have said to people that, for example, prostate cancer is something where, with proper screening and all of that, ought not to be as fatal as it sometimes can be.
No.
But if you catch it too late, then obviously that's a problem.
Yes.
And a lot of that is simply because men do not go. Some men will tell you, they're proud to tell you, I have not been to a doctor in 20 years. You know, I don't go to a doctor, I don't whatever. And then when you start to talk to them about getting regular checkups, doing all of that, they seem to feel that maybe that's a sign of weakness.
Yes, yes.
Right? So I think that this type of initiative is really useful, and I'm hopeful that the men are going to respond in a very positive way. So could you again, because people are always dropping in and dropping out of the show, some may just be tuning in, could you give us again when this event is going to happen, what your target audience is going to be, and what men can look forward to when they come?
Okay, so it's Men Talk, the Men's Health Fair. It's going to be held on June 9th, this coming Sunday, at the Malcolm Gishard Park, Penny's Beach, Nevis. We're looking for all the men to come out, men of all ages, come out. Women out there, bring your men if possible. If there's someone in your life you care about, your uncle, your boyfriend, your husband, you know, your cousin, anybody, your brother, please encourage them to come out to this event. They can't miss this event at all. This is going to be fun. This is going to be great, informative. A lot of professionals are going to be there to answer all your questions, stress relief techniques, grill masters, fun games and competitions, discussion panels about health, well-being, all of that. You cannot miss this event, men.
At what time does it start?
Starts from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Sunday, June 9th at the Malcolm Gishard Park.
Okay. All right. So, and this has been put on, it says, a collaborative event.
Yes.
So it's Ministry of Health, it's Taiwanese ICDF as well.
And Lake Health and Wellbeing.
And Lake Health and Wellbeing. So you have a troika of organizers, so to speak. How many people are you catering for? How many people do you anticipate?
Well, we're looking at about 200.
200?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there are more than 200 men who are going to come.
If
so
we could get more than 200, that would be great.
Better. Good. So men out there, if you're listening, and you said something, Dr. Brown, which I think is important, because in my experience and based on some of what I have heard, a lot of times it is the women in men's lives that push them to take care of their health.
Yeah.
So I could tell you, I've been married for a little while, and if I just say the slightest thing, my knee hurts or whatever, my wife is going to be adamant. Go and get it checked out, you need to go and get that looked at, etc. And sometimes you get so harassed that you end up going because you want the harassment to stop. It's good harassment, you know, it's somebody who's obviously, you know, somebody who cares about you.
Yes.
But I would want to appeal to women that they encourage their menfolk.
Yes.
Whether it is your parent, as you say, your cousin, your brother, or your loved one, your partner, your husband, that you encourage them to go out, because a lot of men need that push, right? And if that means that you need to bring them to MGR Park on Sunday, starting at 3:30, then do that. But bring them out, let them know it's going to be a fun event. It is not an event that is going to be intrusive in any way. That the idea really is to allow men to have an ability to interact with Dr. Brown and other professionals, and to get a sense of what they can do about their health and how they can better manage, even if they have an existing condition, how they can better manage that condition. So you're having what specialties that you expect to have there available?
We're going to have vascular surgeons, nephrologists.
Now break it down for people like me. So a vascular surgeon, he or she is the one that you need when you have dialysis, yes? To put in the shunts.
These things, and blood vessel,
okay,
works and these kind of things.
And then the nephrologist now deals with what?
That's the renal doctor.
Renal doctor. Okay, yes. So you need that one for renal failure. And we clearly have a problem here with diabetes and hypertension, which are gateways for renal failure, from what I understand. Okay, and then what other expertise are we going to have there?
We have the mental health team. Okay. They're going to be there as well. The fitness expert from the health promotion unit. Right. They're going to be there. Doctors from STAIGHT also coming over. Other nutritionists are going to be there.
Nutritionists.
We also have the general practitioners are going to be there to participate in panel discussions and small groups where we kind of get them in to, talk about the different topics that really affect them.
So I wanted to ask you, because you touch on mental health, and if we think that men are reluctant to go to the doctor, it's even worse, I think, when it comes to issues of mental health.
This is true.
Right? Because I think across the society there's a level of stigma attached to mental health issues.
Unfortunately.
It's unfortunate, but it is, again, one of those cultural things that we have to combat. Now, mental health is, of course, part of health. Because no matter how physically fit you are, if the mind and body aren't working together, then we have problems. We have tried, and there have been some recent initiatives in terms of mental health, getting a standalone unit, the behavioral wellness unit. We've even changed, behavioral health and wellness unit, I think it's called. We've even changed the name to get away from any stigma associated with mental health. But men, the literature suggests, are even more reluctant to access mental health care. And men are particularly prone, in my view, because of a variety of factors. Men can, in some instances, have high stress lives
because of the expectations.
Right? Expectations of men that you have to provide, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be the protector and the provider and all that, and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming, especially sometimes when men feel they don't measure up. Like I went to school with Dr. Brown. Watch him now; he's a big doctor, and I still here struggling. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then your girlfriend, the fellow's girlfriend, is saying, "But look at Tivon. Tivon is a big doctor now, and watch you. I do nothing with yourself." We have that kind of thing. It's stressful. It can be high stress, and we know that stress can sometimes contribute to mental issues in terms of what you experience. So. We also have, and let's face it, a society where a lot of our males are using marijuana, engage in marijuana use, engage in alcohol use. And that too can exacerbate, especially if there's an underlying condition, that too can exacerbate. So, again, I just want to emphasize that having these disciplines available to men on Sunday, in a setting where they can feel comfortable just having a conversation, picking up some literature, getting a number for Dr. Brown or somebody else that you can probably do a follow. I think all of that is going to be very important, because, as I said, a lot of men are not even willing to go to the doctor for an ailment put by to say, well, listen, I'm not sure that my mental health is what it should be. Right? I have, for example, I've spent some time in foreign lands, and in some places in America, for example, going to therapy is just like going to get a coffee or going to a restaurant.
Normal,
there's some people who every week, every month they go to therapy. They have a therapist. Here, it's still something that only if you're weak and you can't deal with your problems, you need people to intervene.
That kind of thinking.
When in reality, it really is something that all of us could benefit from. So I think that is excellent. The other thing that you mentioned is the nutritionist. I had an interesting engagement, Dr. Brown, recently with someone who said to me that they lived in the gym. They said they went to the gym often, they worked out hard, they did everything in the gym, but they were not losing any weight, and they were not improving in terms of the look of their body. And I said, well, what was the reason for that? And he said, nutrition. Right? And the point that the chap was making to me, and you're a doctor, you could tell me if he was right or wrong, was that no matter how much workout you do, physical exercise, if you're not controlling what you eat, then you could really be counterproductive.
Very
right?
true.
He pointed out to me that in fact he stopped going to the gym as often, and he just started to focus now on what went into his mouth. And he said he lost 70 pounds. And he's been able to keep off that 70 pounds over many years.
Just with diet.
So I thought that was instructive, because I see again, and some of this again is cultural. We eat, and I confess I'm guilty of that. We like the cook up, we like the fried fish, we like the fried chicken, we like the fried foods, we like the pigtail and rice, we like all of these kinds of things. They're not good for us, especially when they're consumed in large quantities. So one of the things that I think a lot of our men, like I hear our men say all the time, construction worker, boy, me work hard enough, so me to eat hearty. I want to eat a big plate of food because I work hard. So there's again this sense that you got to eat a lot of food because maybe you engage in hard work or physical labor. How do you respond to that, and what can people expect when they come there? I mean, would the nutritionists be able to talk to them about how they can eat better?
Oh yes, you know, the nutritionists, both from Nevis and St. Kitts, they'll be out kind of instructing you on, you know, everybody is not the same when it comes to what they require for the diet. Yes, some people may work harder, more physically, and they need more food, but you need that food in a certain amount, not to go over into the excess. The excess is the problem, Honorable Premier. Our diet here in the Caribbean, you know, is very starch heavy, and that's a big contributing factor to all the diabetes we see. And we also love the seasoning and the salt, which contributes to the hypertension we see. So, you know, they say you are what you eat. So when you control what you eat, and you know, you speak towards your body, it's easier. Everything's easier that way. And the nutritionists, they'll be out to kind of help us get through all these things. They'll appeal to different men. You know, it's a long process, but you know, once you get in with a nutritionist, you could always break it down to your specific requirements, and you know, you see the results way easier that way.
That's why I don't eat monkey, you know, because they say you are what you eat. So that's why I don't eat monkey meat at all. But that's a light moment. I wanted to ask you, because I think that a lot of our people don't know, or maybe some don't quite appreciate the linkages between diet and some of these chronic diseases that we end up with, right? You mentioned salt. Salt could be a contributor to hypertension.
Yes.
You mentioned, you know, a lot of the starches and a lot of the stuff that I commented on, the fried foods and the oil and the cook up and things of that nature, that can contribute to diabetes. The sugar can contribute to diabetes, as a salt as well. And then those things lead to other things. So I found out, for example, that when people have diabetes, it can affect their eyesight. They can go blind.
Oh yeah.
Right? They can lose limbs. They can lose, you know, I mean, a finger, toe, a foot. You know, a lot of people, amputees, we see as a result of diabetes,
Sadly.
uncontrolled diabetes, right? So sometimes I think people are not making the linkage.
The connection.
Right. So a man will say, well, okay, boy, I'm eating hearty, I'm eating a big plate of food. And frankly, let's face it, when we were children, well, you're much younger than I am, so let me talk about myself. When I was a child, you used to get licks if you didn't eat all the food on your plate. So again, the culture was that you ate as much as you could. And in fact, we grew up in an era here in Nevis, certainly my era, when we were poor people. So you didn't get a lot to eat. And so when you did get some food, the idea was that you should not waste it. You should eat. And so people now who are a little better off still have that ingrained in their heads, that listen, I must eat a big plate of food. And I don't think that the link is made sometimes that can lead to obesity, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to hypertension, and those are very, very serious conditions to have. That can lead to, I mean, all kinds of problems. I look at some of my very close, I mean, in fact, all of them are my friends who have to get dialysis treatment, for example. And it is heartbreaking, really, to see what people have to go through. Now guys are going to St. Kitts for hemodialysis, but there was a time, Dr. Brown, when people had to go to Anguilla and St. Martin.
I heard about those times.
Yes, so
Yeah.
we had people who had to fly to St. Martin to be dialyzed. And so, you know, we have come a long way from that, but still, it is difficult. And so, I feel that sometimes we need, through these types of initiatives that you're having, the ability to bring home the reality and connect the dots for
Yeah.
people.
You know, that's why we're having the panel discussions and the small groups at this event, because we realize people need in-depth explanation when it comes to these illnesses and the connection to the lifestyle. And, you know, that's why I focus heavily on prevention over cure.
Well, you know, our old people always say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In the context of health, I always tell the health minister that a dollar of prevention is worth $1 million in cure.
Yeah.
And as a doctor, I'm sure you're aware, I see it from the other end, the cost, but I'm sure you're aware that it is incredibly expensive to treat some of these diseases.
Very, very, very.
So it is far better for a small country like ours and a very small micro-state like St. Kitts and Nevis, and an even more micro-island, the island of Nevis, that the resources that we have, we spend those resources on education.
Yes.
Right? And to try to delay the onset of illness and try, and there's some simple things that people can do.
It's lifestyle based, you know. Lifestyle based changes could carry you far, far, far away when it comes to your health.
Okay. So we always encourage people to, we have the Let's SKN moves.
Yes.
We want you to get up and get moving. We want you obviously to watch what you eat and to try and eat in a balanced way. A lot of times they say that even if you eat some of the same things, but you eat in moderation,
portions,
right?
size.
You don't overdo it. And for those out there like me who are trying to lose some weight, then the science seems to be saying that it's not how often you go to the gym, but what you eat that ultimately impacts the question of weight. And so I encourage people to go out in their numbers. Dr. Brown is saying he expects maybe 200-300, but let's try and see if we can make it 500 or 600. The men gone out on Sunday at the MGR Park, starting at 3:30. Dr. Brown and the team have put on an entire event there for men to talk about your health, talk about prevention, to talk about conditions that you may already have, how those can be treated. Mental health is going to be there. Renal specialists are going to be there. They're going to have general practitioners there. The idea really is to expose our men. And so, since men are a demographic that need, I believe, more pushing, we are calling on the women out there to help them. Make sure Sunday after church, you go home, you have your little lunch, and then drop off your boyfriend, your husband, your father, your cousin, your brother at the MGR Park for 3:30, and there's lots of fun there. You say there'll be cooking, there'll be grill masters, there'll be all kinds of things.
All kinds of things.
Right, so it should be fun. Now, my final question to you, Dr. Brown, is that I see good ideas happening in Nevis all the time. But then guess what? Everybody's enthusiastic for a great idea, and then after it happens, it never happens again. So, how can the public look forward to regular engagements with men and men's health going forward? I mean, at this level of activity?
Okay, well, you know, we're always out there in the community doing the health screenings, doing the health checkups. You know, the health centers are open, hospital is open for consultations. You know, we're always there, we're visible. We're trying to make ourselves more visible with more activities. The health promotion unit always has something going on. And going forward, this is the first year we're having this event, but we want this event to happen more and more and more every year. We want to see this event. And we still have Men's Month coming up in November, which we'll see another health screening, another men-based activity month.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because I said we get excellent ideas, and I always point to the success of the prostate screening that was introduced by Dr. Thwaites and his team, and that has now become an annual fixture here in Nevis. And you know, prostate screening has some aspects of it which some men are uncomfortable with, but the fact that you could get regularly anywhere from 6, 7, sometimes over 700 men showing up, it tells you that over time people trust the process, people trust those who are doing it, and over time. And I know that prostate screening has saved lives.
Definitely.
here on the island of Nevis.
Definitely.
So, I encourage you, Dr. Brown, thank you very much for being here. My door is always open here at Von Radio on a Wednesday for these types of matters. I've had the health promotion unit here. They don't bother with me nowadays, but they used to in the past come here from time to time. I hope Nadine is listening and she heard that jab. But it certainly is something that we are all looking forward to. So this Sunday, 3:30 at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, Dr. Brown and the team is going to be there. It's a joint effort between Lake Health, you said,
Yes.
the Ministry of Health here in Nevis, and the Taiwanese ICDF.
Yes.
And so we ask you to come out, get screened, get literature, get information, ask your questions, and we want the men to come. And we want the women to help us to get the men to come this Sunday at the MGR Park. Any final words from you, Dr. Brown?
Well, I mean, thank you for having me on your program this evening, Honorable Mark Brantley. And, you know, to the men out there, the women out there, you know, just take care of your health. Come on out this Sunday. We're going to have fun. We're going to be informative. Just come out.
Okay, so that was Dr. Tivon Brown, who's here to educate us and to invite us to the men's health event that is happening at the MGR Park this coming Sunday. So, Dr. Brown, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we move on with the show. We have a lot of other things to discuss, and so Dr. Brown will take his leave when he's ready. And but we thank him for being here and for spending some time with us. And so he knows, and that the Ministry of Health knows, they're always welcome. So certainly we hope that people are going to go out in their numbers and support. So, all right, now we have a lot of things that are happening. Dr. Brown would have just told us a bit about the health screening and the health fair for men specifically, and I certainly look forward to that. There is a lot that is happening in the country. You had reports today to the Cabinet by the Honorable Deputy Premier, who is also charged with the Culturama activities, the Minister of Culture, and he's indicating that the contractors are all performing quite well at the cultural venues. In fact, this morning I know he did a tour of NEPAC, and at NEPAC, just so you know, we've had leaking roofs there that we had to fix. The leaking roofs have led to some failures in terms of the air conditioning and the electrical, and we've also had some issues with the sewage. So all of those matters are being addressed so that NEPAC, which has been a premier venue for us for cultural events, for dance, for recitals and the like, that should be back on stream. I was very happy to hear today that the roof repairs are done and that the AC units, that the installation is also almost done, and that we're now paying attention to the other structural issues that need to be addressed there. So kudos to Minister Evelyn and the entire team for all the work that they're doing there to get that venue ready. We're also looking at the cultural village and the cultural complex. Those are moving apace. I confess I've not been there in the last week and a half, but I hope to be there this week at some point, and when I go I will get an opportunity to see the progress. But I'm hopeful as well. I believe that the end of this month is the target for most of those construction works to be finished. Thereafter we just have cosmetics, cleanup, and we're ready to welcome people for the festivities for Culturama 50. In relation to water, ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful to God that we've had some recent rains. We continue to pray for more, and if we can get it more regularly, we will look forward to that for sure. And so we thank God and ask Him please to remember us and have mercy on us in relation to rain and rainfall. Water has become a very scarce commodity for a number of reasons. We continue to encourage our people to conserve water, not to waste it. And of course, we are continuing with our exploration of new water. The report that we got today is that the drillers from Trinidad that we've contracted and that we've paid our mobilization money to, that they ought to be here this month and to start the drilling. We are hopeful that we will be able to strike water very early on in the process. I'm told that drilling should occur at Descents, at Maddens. I believe there's some drilling intended at Braziers and up at Spring Hill and at a few other sites that have been identified. And just so you know, we did not pluck these sites out of the ether. these sites were selected based on an analysis that was done by a gentleman called Skip Hogue. He was the one who was originally here with the BEAD that had done the original water exploration, and he's no longer with BEAD, but we brought him back, and so he would have done some updated analysis for us that was shared with us, and that analysis now is informing where the drillers out of Trinidad are going to drill. So we are optimistic, ladies and gentlemen, that we'll get this done, and we are hoping that we can move forward very quickly this month to start that very important process of accessing additional water. In the interim, of course, we have a small desalination plant that is under construction, and I'm told that that too should come online sometime this year. And so we're asking people to hold strain. The government is definitely making the right moves and investing in order to bring you additional water. Just so you know, and I've explained in the past, that the approach that we took as a government was to do a sequential investment. Our first investment was in increased capacity, storage capacity, and so around the island of Nevis we've erected new water tanks, water storage tanks, which hold much more water and are more modern. The next step was to do better distribution network. So around the island, you realize at one point the entire island looked like it was under construction, is because we were laying pipes, we were replacing old iron pipes with brand new polyurethane pipes, new technology. We were eliminating areas where people had low water pressure. We were enlarging pipes going into major villages and major communities to ensure that they had adequate supply of water. So we enhanced storage capacity, modernize our storage. 2, we enhance the distribution, modernizing the distribution. And 3, we now need more water. And so when we get more water, we have storage for it, and we have the capacity to get it to you without there being low water pressure and the like. So this has been quite a systematic approach to the development of the water resource here. And again, I want to say kudos to the Honorable Spencer Brand and his team. They have done an excellent job. In order for you to help us, we're asking, of course, people to pay their water bill and to ensure that they help us to defray some, because even if you pay your water bill, it doesn't pay for all of the costs of producing water. Water is still heavily subsidized here on the island of Nevis. But we're asking you, please, that you pay your water bill so that at the very least you avoid disconnection, and 2, we have the ability to have some resources coming in to help us to defray some of the costs associated with delivering to you water at a consistent level, and water that is, of course, WHO standard, international standard, potable water. And so we're working on that, and I again want to commend Spencer Brand. He doesn't make a lot of noise, but he gets the job done, and so kudos to him and his entire team. We certainly look forward to more of that. Now, in relation to a few other matters, the airport project, we are hopeful that we should have the final set of town hall meetings. Those will be organized by the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, who is leading on that project for the government. We are also hopeful that we can finalize the last large tranche of land that is not yet finalized. We've been going back and forth on that, but we anticipate that we should have that finalized very, very shortly. Once that is done, I believe that I've already seen a draft of the social and environmental impact assessment report, and so we expect that that report is going to be available very shortly to the general public, and then thereafter it's now time for us to get down to the business end of things. We have, of course, to raise some funding to deal with the payments associated with the project, that is payments to landowners in particular, but we are grateful thus far that the majority of landowners, in fact the vast majority of landowners, have been quite willing to negotiate with us in good faith, and have been quite willing to participate in this project, because I think they understand that a project of this magnitude is important for the future development of the island of Nevis. So we certainly look forward to that, and to get things off the ground and running in short order. We have had the back and forth. We have had some delays in terms of the negotiations on the lands, but as I said, I think we're in striking distance now in order to get things ready so that we can proceed. And so we certainly look forward to that and for the airport project happening in short order. We continue, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the Pinnis Park project. As we know, the Malcolm Guichard Park is already open and has been opened now, I think, just 2 years. We have, of course, now the areas by the beach at Pinnis Beach, where we're putting in proper parking, proper lighting, proper walkways, proper security. We have much more electronic surveillance in the area. We are creating bathrooms for patrons in the area, beachgoers. We're going to have showers, foot baths and showers. We're going to have changing rooms there as well. We're going to have a proper security area, maintenance areas. We've fixed the sewage issues down there. We have a beautiful boardwalk. We're going to be doing some beautiful landscaping, and basically when we're done, and I'm told that major work should be done by the end of this month, when we're done, we want Pinnis Beach to be the go-to area in the Federation for entertainment, for leisure. We want you to be able to go into the MGR Park, relax, read a book, you know, lay a blanket on that tree, and then come down, use the beach, you know, shower, wash the salt off of you, go sit in a restaurant, have a cocktail, look at the sunset, bring your family for dinner. We want a safe environment, an environment where people can go to, and we anticipate that it will become a mecca for entertainment right here on the island of Nevis. Some people have commented that the road that takes us down to the beach from the island main road, that once we get there to Nevis Peak Brewery, that the road is pretty bad. And I agree. The issue really has been for us that because concrete trucks and heavy construction equipment was being moved all along that roadway, that we would leave that for the final phase. The last thing that you'll see down there is our public works going in and fixing that road. So we are already scheduling things, and we anticipate that that will be ready by the end of June, the end of this month. Certainly will be ready by the time people start to descend on Nevis for Culturama. So if you're coming in, I believe that you're going to love what you see at Pinnis Park. The Malcolm Guichard Recreational Park, as I said, is open, and this is the rest now. And the MGR Park is going to flow into the rest of Pinnis in a very serious way. So we're looking to beef everything up. Security, amenities, to make sure that people, when they go, they have a good time. Now we know that we now have a number of restaurants there. We have Nevis Peak Brewery, we have Lime, we have Weekends, we have Sunshines, of course, we have Zanzi, Chills, we have Turtle Time. I think that's about 7 restaurants there, and we have some informal areas on the beach. And I just want to say tonight that we will be having some discussions, because at one point in the past we were forced to remove those structures. Those structures have been put there with no planning approval, and those operators do not have any business licenses. We want to create an environment where everybody can benefit. We understand that everybody needs to make a dollar, but we also appreciate that we must make a dollar the right way, and some people cannot be allowed to break the law, and others are required to abide by the law. Nevis is an island of laws, and we will be having those conversations to ensure that everybody is playing by the same rules. That is absolutely critical if we're going to get down there an area that is orderly and that is welcoming and that doesn't have any chaos, conflict, or confusion. And so we are certainly looking forward to those who are there engaging with us. You would have seen as well some cleaning going on along our verges, along our roadsides in some cases. We're cleaning out guts, we're cleaning out waterways and trenches, because all of that we're getting ready for the hurricane season. Hurricane season officially started on June 1st. It goes all the way until November, and we are prayerful that we will not have any storms this year. The predictions have said that we are expecting an a hyperactive or overactive season, and they are expecting higher than normal activity in terms of the Atlantic hurricane season. I have said that our only protection during hurricanes and storms is the grace of God. And whilst we have not been deserving, God knows we have not been deserving, He in His wisdom has still continued to preserve and protect us. And so I ask that you listen to our professionals, you listen to Mr. Brian Dye and his team, you listen to Mr. Brand, he has been out there, the Honorable Spencer Brand, you listen of course to their counterparts on St. Kitts, you make sure that you do the things that they say we should do to prepare ourselves. You make sure you remove overhanging branches and the like that may fall in your house and cause damage. You make sure that your house insurance, your property insurance is paid up. That's important. Don't let it lapse, because if it lapses even for a day, I guarantee you those insurance companies are going to tell you, I'm sorry, but your policy has lapsed. So make sure that you're paid up. Make sure that things are in order. Make sure that you stock up on what you need to stock up on, your batteries, your canned foods, etc. Be prepared whilst praying that you don't need the preparation that you have done, because we are prayerful that we won't get any storms. And so let us continue to pray. I want to thank the churches, the church community here, the Evangelical Association, Christian Council. They have been in the forefront of offering prayers for our safety during this difficult time each year. And I thank them. They don't get thanks enough, I feel. We take a lot of times what the churches do for granted, but they're there. Even when we are not there, they're there. And so we say thank you to our church leaders for what they've done and what they continue to do. It is through the grace of God that St. Kitts and Nevis has been spared the worst over the past decade or so. And we're prayerful that despite the predictions of man, that God, who is in control, will spare us any storms this year. And so we say thank you for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are also doing a tremendous level of work at the Bath Stream. I went to the Bath Stream about a week and a half ago, and I was blown away at what I'm seeing. The government has decided, after some planning and after considerable delay, that we are going to get this done. And so we now have beautiful picket fences, we have beautiful wall fences, we're putting in some beautiful landscaping. And what we've tried to create is a rustic feel, meaning that we are not going in modern buildings and all that. We have got some small chattel houses, we've repositioned them among the trees there, and we are hopeful that with our changing rooms and our bathrooms that we're introducing, that we are really going to now have the Bath Stream live up to its potential of being a much, much better facility. It is one of the leading tourist attractions on the island. We now need to treat it as such. We need to have it in a way that is attractive to people and that can really give Nevis that additional bounce. I want to go on record tonight to thank P.S. John Hanley, who has led the Ministry of Tourism with distinction over the years, but he's been ably assisted by the man who's really on the ground with this project, Mr. Sylvester Mead. And Mr. Mead reaches out to me very often to give me updates, to let me know what is going on. And I want to commend him especially. He's a guy who's full of ideas and enthusiasm for what he's doing. And I want to thank him and to continue to encourage him and the entire team who's working there. We have different contractors doing different things, but we certainly encourage them to continue doing their very best. And I believe that Nevisians who haven't been to the Bath Stream in a while, who visit, will be very impressed with what they're seeing. We're going to be creating parking, proper lighting, and we're asking, of course, the people of Bath Village, because you Bath villagers are the caretakers of the Bath Stream. Take care of it. Take care of it. It's your stream. Take care of it. It runs through your village. Take care of it. Your village is called Bath Village because of the Bath Stream. Take care of it. I really want the people of Bath Village to be invested and not to allow anybody to come in there to do damage or vandalism. Let us take care of this gift from God, because that's exactly what it is, the Bath Stream. And certainly we look forward to having that finished. So you hear how many things I've said talking about the park at Pinneys, the build out and the finishing of that. We're talking about the Bath Stream, the build out and the finishing of that, cultural complex, cultural village, NEPAC. All of these projects are happening all at once. And what we're doing as government is we are also helping to stimulate the local economy. Stimulating the local economy by investing at this time of year. And all of those contractors and subcontractors, electricians, plumbers, you name it, are getting a bite. And that is what we're seeking to do. And so I would want to thank all who have been involved and continue to be involved. We will continue to do our best to deliver for the people of Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 10 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock, and I will open the lines a bit earlier than usual, but I'll open the lines now because I know that there may be people out there who may want to have something to say. The numbers are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let me go immediately to the phones and take this call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, good evening. Hello, how are you doing?
Good evening to you. I'm not bad, thank you.
Okay, I heard you talk about a lot of projects tonight, but I haven't heard you talk about the Alexander Hospital wing. It's been 7 years, the 31st of May this year. And that is unacceptable. What is going on? Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the question. The wing, yes, I agree with you that the delay has been unacceptable. But I did explain that in, I believe it was my press conference, my last press conference, to say that we had a commitment that we would restart that project by May of this year. We have put that on hold because we decided that given the outlay by the government in terms of financial outlay that had to be done for Culturama, that we would put the Alexandra Hospital wing on hold. The reason for that is because we don't feel that despite the delay in the conclusion of that particular project, there is no money being spent on it now because nobody is there. So it's not as if the government is spending money on it. Two, our view is that it has not in any way hindered the quality of care that we offer at the Alexandra Hospital. I have likened it, caller, to you living in a house that works, that is functional, that is not leaking, that has no problems, and you deciding that you want to build a bigger house. The fact that the bigger house is delayed doesn't affect your comfort because you're already in a house that works quite well. And so what we're trying to do is, of course, to build something for the future. But we are not at this point in time being compromised in any way. So when we look at it in terms of priorities and what we needed to do and when, we thought that we could give these projects greater priority because we wanted them to be ready for Culturama 50, which is a significant milestone in the history of this island of Nevis. The hospital project we have committed to, and we are hopeful that once we're done with Culturama, we can now focus in a laser-like way on getting that hospital project back on track and getting it done. Now, I heard you say that it has been 7 years, and I agree with you. 7 years, 5 years, 4 years, it has been too long. But having said that, I think that we also need to be realistic in terms of what we say and how we assess. Because it seems when people say it's been 7 years that it gives people the impression that we've had 7 years of construction and we are not finished. That is not the case. You would, for example, accept that since COVID, nothing has happened there. We lost 2 years to COVID, and then since COVID, we have had to go back to the drawing board to deal with a few matters which have been disclosed, and where we had some discussions in relation to some quantities and takeoffs that were necessary for the interior construction. So I don't want it to be said that it has been 7 years as if to give the impression that we have been at this for 7 years and people have somehow been wasting resources for 7 years, because that is not true. We cannot rule out COVID and the 2 years of COVID when no work occurred. And we also cannot rule out the economic impact of COVID because, frankly, the government spent, borrowed, and did everything it could to keep the island afloat. And major construction projects had to be put on hold because there wasn't the work that was happening, of course, because of COVID, but also because of the money and the availability of the resources. We simply did not have the resources to move forward. Now that the island is in full recovery, we intend to move forward, and I'm anticipating that that will happen soon. I have always been open and direct with the public, and when I have something to report on that, then I will do so. But for now, caller, we are focused on completing the projects that we need to complete in order to present the best opportunity for a successful Culturama 50. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, Miss Sheriff.
Good evening to you.
John 16, verse 12 and 13. I have much more to say to you, more than you can bear. But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all the truth. He will not speak on his own. He will speak only what he hears, and he will tell you what is yet to come. Congratulations to you and your family. You have to find another mark, but it would not be a Brantley, it would be a penny feather. No, good night.
Thank you very much, except that I didn't find anybody. My daughter found a mark, and I was quite happy that she found. Mark is a good name. It's a good, strong biblical name. So I'm happy that she found her mark, and she knows that she has another mark who's always going to be there for her. So do we have somebody else holding? No. The numbers are 869-469-1616 and 1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, Mr. Brantley, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Okay, so let me ask you a question now. How come a contract that was given to a minister who's now in government years ago to do the hospital, who has no experience in healthcare architecture, okay? And the Honorable Janice Hodge brought up this matter in the House, the last budget. There was no objection, there was nobody objected to her when she mentioned it. So how come the Honorable Spencer Brand, I can call his name, was awarded a contract? To me, it was a direct contract because there was no tendering. And Janice Hodge brought it up in the House. And he was given the contract knowing that he has no experience in healthcare architecture. I'll listen after you.
Okay, well, caller, thank you again. This is the standard NRP opposition line. First of all, the Honorable Spencer Brand was not given any contract to do any hospital. I want to say that clearly. Because when Spencer Brand's Architectural, was engaged on that hospital, Spencer Brand was not in government. And so we need to be very clear what we say and how we say what we say. Because sometimes, you see, people believe that they can be a little clever. So you talk about the Honorable Spencer Brand getting a contract, when that is not the case, because Brand's Architectural, who got a contract to do the drawing for that hospital, Mr. Brand was not yet an elected member. Mr. Brand became an elected member in 2017, if my memory serves. And so I just want that to be very clear, caller, so that you are not confused, I'm not confused, and we don't confuse the public. There has been, I think, an effort to mislead the public, create this impression that there was some conflict of interest, that somehow somebody in cabinet is giving other people in cabinet work that this government certainly has never done and that we are not engaged in. And so I want to just correct, because the way you pose the question is the usual line that I get from the opposition as they try to make mischief. Now, I've agreed with the earlier caller, that might have been you, saying that the project has been delayed. Nobody's going to run away from that. But let us not try now to be overly clever and try to insinuate things which are not the case. As to experience in healthcare architecture, I'm not even sure what that means, because by your analysis, nobody in St. Kitts and Nevis, as far as I know, no architect would qualify to engage themselves in anything to do with any health facility, because I don't know who architect in St. Kitts and Nevis has, as you say, experience in healthcare architecture. So we need, I believe, to be fair and reasonable. The project is a project that is aspirational in many respects, because it is intended to take us to the next 30-40 years, and I am not going to succumb myself to the chatter that is out there and say, oh well, opposition saying this and that, so therefore let us do this and that. No, it's a project that has been delayed, but a project that will be delivered. It is a project that has to be taken seriously, and that we are taking seriously. It is a project that will serve us for the next 30-40 years, but what I am comforted in is that the delay on that project has in no way, shape or form affected the quality of care that you and I receive at the Alexandra Hospital. To the contrary, caller, we have consistently enhanced the equipment and the personnel that is available to the people of Nevis at Alexandra Hospital. We have added CT scan, we have added mammogram, we have added improvements in terms of our technology, we've added brand new ambulances, we have added personnel, greater specialties are now available on the island. We have ramped up every aspect of our healthcare. So nobody in Nevis could say, oh well, you know, finished the hospital so people are suffering. No. And I want to make that very, very clear. And so while I agree that there has been a delay, and I agree that the project needs to move on and be finished, let there be no suggestion that there's any negative impact on the quality of care that's available on the island of Nevis, because we have continually enhanced that care. Ventilators, we have more of those. Never in the history of Nevis we ever had 2 new ambulances. We have 2 at the same time. I was there, fortunately, to christen both. And so the reality is that we have improved and consistently improved what we are doing on the island of Nevis insofar as healthcare is concerned. So I just want to put that very clear on the ground. If somebody thinks they cannot contradict that, let them call in and contradict. I have no difficulty with that. Let's go back to the phones. We have 2 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
Let me ask you a question. Renal treatment, and was not one of the reasons for the new hospital wing?
No, that was not one of the reasons.
No, Mr. Brantley, you don't tell me that.
Well, you asked me a question.
Don't tell me that, Mr. Brantley.
You asked me a question. You don't want me to answer you.
One of the reasons for that new hospital wing was for renal treatment.
Caller,
The people in Nevis, where do they go for renal treatment? I think it.
Caller.
No.
Caller.
And then come.
Please, caller.
Yes.
This show operates in a particular way.
I don't care how you shop.
Well, if you don't care, caller, if you don't care, then we'll have to ask you, please, if you don't care, if you do not care, then you can't be on this show, because this show operates in a particular way. We've been doing this for 15 years. Your point of view is important to us, but you will not disrespect me or the standards that we have set on this show. We have a conversation here. If you ask a question, you give me an opportunity to answer you. That's how conversations work, and if you were raised right, you will know that is how we were raised. If you can't adhere to those standards, then this is not the show for you. Call someplace else. It's as simple as that. Now, you asked me the question, was renal care the reason for the hospital? I'm telling you, no. We are building a facility that we hope will serve us for the next 30 to 40 years. We have said that as part of that build-out, we will have certain services made available at that new facility, including a dialysis unit. We're going to have, radiology. We're going to build out to have MRI and those types of facilities. We're going to build out to have better physiotherapy. We're going to build out to have better accommodation for people. But those are not the reasons for it. Those are uses to which we intend to put the facility. So I'm just trying to say to you that don't come on here and get belligerent with me. This is my show. It's not your show. It is my show. So if you want a conversation, then you're welcome to call in. But if you want to be argumentative and gonna tell me you don't care about what my standards are, then this is not the place for you. You don't come into my house and behave in a manner that is inconsistent with what we're trying to do. So caller, I hope you understand these are the rules. That's how we play the game. And if it is you can't play by those rules, then please don't bother to call, because we won't be tolerating you or your conduct this evening. Let's go back to the phones. That caller is gone. Callers, please call back in. It is 5 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. And we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
I'm going to read my script now, right?
Yes, please do.
Reading from Proverbs chapter 2, verse 1 to 7. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord, and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. This is the ending of the scripture, and may the Lord bless you.
Thank you very much for your scripture. Truly appreciate it. Let's stick with the telephones and continue to take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello, good night, Honorable.
Yes, good evening, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, wonderful. I wanted to ask a question that's technology related. I know for us, tourists and those people coming here, they're basically used to booking tickets online for commuting by boat or by plane. So recently I've been seeing iFare in the media a lot. And I'm impressed that it's a young pioneer from Nevis, Mr. Powell, who would have started that. So I wanted to ask if at any point in the future, if NASPA is going to probably embrace this e-ticketing system that he has developed, because that would be more convenient for a lot of travelers.
Well, caller, thank you for that question, but I don't know that that's a question for me, because NASPA is run by its board. I do know that NASPA has engaged in relation to having a discussion. Where they are in terms of that engagement, I can't speak to. I agree that greater technology is better. Anything that can make the travel easier, and certainly I think people who know me know that I'm a great supporter of small businesses and our own local business community. And so this young man has reached out to me. I'm very well aware of the incredible capacity that he has and this great work that he has done. And so I would certainly be supportive, but I will have to wait on NASPA to see what their position is in relation to fully embracing this technology.
Okay. So is there any way you could influence a decision?
Could I influence a decision? I can ask the board to certainly look at it, and I've done that already.
Oh, wonderful.
So as far as I know, the matter is being looked at. I just cannot tell you what the decision is going to be or when the decision is going to be had. But I do think that the technology is the way to go. But I don't know, for example, does NASPA have other options? I would not know that. All I know is that there has been an engagement already, and I'm hopeful that at some point that engagement can lead to a better experience for our traveling public.
All right, thank you so much.
And you're most welcome. It is now 8 minutes or so past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I just want to go back to the earlier exchange, just to say that we and this show definitely try very hard to maintain a particular standard of civility and discourse. I believe I can count on maybe both hands. I was going to say one, but maybe both. A number of people that I've had to cut off over the years for violating our rules. And our rules are very clear. people who listen to this show know and understand. This is not the show that you come to try to be overly emotional and political, because if you are, then it is just not the forum for that. The expectation when you call on the show is for you to make your point, make it as strongly as you would like to make it. But as I said, for us to be able to have a conversation, for us to be able to engage. At the end of the day, we may not agree. I may not be able to persuade the caller, and the caller may not be able to persuade me. But hopefully, through the quality of our dialogue, the listening public will understand better what the issues are and have a better appreciation of what we're trying to do here on the island of Nevis. This is not a forum for row and ray and people who feel that they can somehow bully. Everyone know me should know that from long. Nobody could bully me. Y'all should know that. So I am just saying, let us put aside. I don't know what the standards are for other programs. I don't know who is allowed to call and say whatever they want to say. I have had some clips that have been quite alarming, where other programs, people calling, threatening with gun and violence and all kind of foolishness. That is not the standard that applies here. And I just want to make that very, very clear. And so, if callers are going to call, and callers have a point, I don't mind that they're passionate about their point, but let us not allow passion to make us disrespectful of each other, because that is not what this show is about. So I just want to make that pellucid, that all shades of public opinion are welcome. If you support CCM, you're welcome. If you support NRP, you're welcome. If you support Labour, if you support PAM, you're welcome with your views and your opinions. But let us not be disrespectful. And I'm not going to tolerate any disrespect. Too old now for that, and too seasoned for that. And I've been here too long behind this microphone at this radio station for that. And so I just want to make that clear. So caller, if you're still listening and you want to call back in, those are the rules. Abide by them or take your viewpoints elsewhere. And that's okay with me as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark. We have about 48 minutes left, and we're taking your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, we've had some, again, going back to the cabinet session, I was able to get a report from the Honorable Spencer Brand that some people have been saying that, they've noticed some potholes as a result of the rain. That always happens. Whenever it rains, we're going to get potholes in the roads. But the Honorable Spencer Brand has indicated that his team is going to be out in full force dealing with those. We're going to be out in full force finishing off the paving in Brown Hill, full force finishing off the paving over there in Butlers as the final phase of that project. And so we are going to again be delivering on that. I just want to tell you that we've had some delays because we had no bitumen was on the island. We had some issues there. We have, I believe, received one tank, I'm told, last Friday. We have additional that is on the way, and so we hope that we would have passed that difficulty and that we'll have the necessary bitumen. Just so the public knows, we need bitumen in order to do the paving. That's what you need for the asphalt. And so we anticipate that now we have some bitumen, we'll be able to get back to work and get the job done. So I want to apologize to the public for that, but to indicate that that was a sort of supply glitch that we experienced, and that we anticipate that now that we have some bitumen already on island and some on the way, that we hope that we will be able to complete what we need to do in good order and ensure that the quality of roads that people have grown accustomed to, that they continue to have that quality of road. I find it fascinating. Let me go back to the phone before I say what I find fascinating. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Mark, good evening.
Good evening, could you lift your voice?
Yeah, good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
I just wanted to say thanks to Honorable Charles Libert for his sponsorship last Sunday at the DPL, and he really came and explained to us about the problems he has in getting life for us at that time. And Mark, on the 16th of June, we'll have one of the biggest Sunday in Nevis, and it's going to be between dinner and like you live down, you from Scarborough, you can bring a team and identify yourself that your team is Scarborough. You can bring one from Zetland, you could bring one from Zion, and all the teams that have to win the most events will get a massive trophy from community development and a cash prize. But all of the events will carry cash prize. We have mango eating competition, we have bun eating competition, we have beer drinking competition, we will have this sack race, we have 100-meter flat, we have dominoes, and we have cricket. Registration is going to be between 11:30 and 12 because everything has to start by 12 o'clock. So Mark, I'm inviting everyone over to Hardtime Recreation Ground on the 16th of June. And Mark, next week we won't have no cricket there because all of us is going to pay respect to Lester Blackett at his funeral next week Sunday at the Netball Complex.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you for all the work that you're doing, Wise. I think that the reports I've had are excellent. I regret I have not gotten there yet, but I will, and I know that I did promise some sponsorship as well, so I have to get that to you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
It is now. Thank you, brother. It is now 17 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and it's interesting. I was making a point that my older daughter shared with me something recently, and basically, I didn't realize that there was out there a body of work, scientific work, and what the work suggested is that the more progress that was made, the better the development that was achieved, the more criticism that some would have. And I found that interesting. And sometimes when I hear people in Nevis, especially on social media, they go crazy and say, well, there's a pothole in the road. And I said, but you know what? The reason why you notice that there's a pothole in the road is because we have now become accustomed to miles of beautifully paved road in Nevis. So when you find a pothole, you take a picture of it and you make a big thing out of it because that is now the aberration, not the norm. Think about it. That's rather interesting. But let's go to the phones and continue with your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Oh, hello, Mark. I just wanted to say how I appreciate your show and how you're doing so great for Nevis. And we've never had a politician who exposed themselves like that on the air to the people of Nevis. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And I want to congratulate you and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
I think that you know, these people, you have some people who are just ignorant, and you're never gonna get away from them. They've been always in Nevis when I used to live here, so you're not gonna get away from them. And now peace filled with them. Good night, Mark. And have a wonderful night. Now, I'll have you in my prayers tonight.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
All right, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. And my view is, and I know this is unusual, I will say to you, caller, that after I became elected, I have started this show, I believe, back in 2000, and I want to feel it was around 2005. I'll have to check the archives here. But after I got elected, some of my advisors say you cannot go back on the air with that show, with open lines and all that. And I said to them, well, if people elected me to serve them, then why should I be afraid of dealing with them and interacting with them in every forum? Whether it's here, whether it's by the shop, in the corner, whether it's a supermarket, in the church, in my office, wherever it may be. we have, I think, as leaders to make ourselves available to those that we are supposed to be leading, because at the end of the day we are servant leaders. We are not kings, we are not masters, we are servant leaders. And so for me, it is an honor to come here on Wednesdays, and you realize that the Honorable Eric Evelyn comes, the Honorable Troy Liebert comes, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers comes, others come. But it's a culture that we have developed, that we come and we open ourselves, as you say, to those who want to call to ask questions, whether they require clarification, and even those who want to make some mischief. The idea is that we make ourselves available because we have a duty and a responsibility to give people information and to give them accurate information. Let's go back to the phones and say good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Mr. Mark Brantley, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Well, I just call in for my behalf of my family, Joel, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for Joel. And you continue to keep up the good work, and I love you all. I know it's very easy to lose someone who's very close to you, especially a nice girl like her, as a young woman with one child, 13 years boy, and see that he lose her life and leave the child behind. But God is good all the time. It could have been worse, but thank God we are here to celebrate her loss as a young teenager of 36 years old. And may God continue to bless us and to strengthen us as we go through this kind of situation at this point in time.
Okay.
My name is Jacinta and Jackson. I live in Scotia. And I want to say, Mark, you're a very nice person. And because God have you there for your own reason and for your own purpose. Continue to keep up the good work. And no matter what nobody might think of you and how they want to disrespect you, but just keep your head up high and just tell them God is in control and God wants things. And for you, God going to see your way through. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you can call in. And we know we have a lot of listeners in Station Sabre, so we are grateful to you for calling in. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. All right. Just so the caller and the public knows that this Friday, 7 June, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the DR Walwyn Square in town, there will be a candlelight vigil in memory of Joel Huggins, who, as we know, was brutally cut down in the prime of her life. And the organizers, families, asking that people wear something white and bring your own candles. So this Friday at 6:30 p.m. at the DR Walwyn Square in Charlestown. And just so call again, by way of update, I want to congratulate the police in Nevis because they have not only made an arrest, but have already laid charges in relation to this particular matter. They have arrested a young man and charged him for the murder of Joel Huggins and for grievous bodily harm or attempted murder. I'm not sure what the other charges against her brother. I'm told that the brother is recovering, and we continue to pray for the family that they be comforted, and continue to pray for the brother Julian that he recovers fully. But this Friday, 7 June at 6:30 p.m. at the DR Walwyn Square, there will be a candlelight vigil in memory of Joel Huggins. Please wear something white and bring your own candles. Let's go back to the phones and continue to take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Pierre Brantley.
Good evening, my brother.
How are you doing?
Boy, I'm good, and always good to hear your voice. You finished with me yet?
Boy, I did finish the date almost a week and a half ago. I'm just waiting for a door and a little bit of pain.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm not even there now.
You did tell me that, but I was wondering if you're going to deliver. But based on what you're telling me, you delivered.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Pierre Brantley, I just want to say this because I feel it should be said. My understanding is that when you have a discussion, right, not always the discussion, any discussion, the objective is to see who will win and who will lose. But rather, most times it's a sharing of different ideas, and of course everybody is not going to have the same idea. But as you share different ideas, those who are wise, right, will listen to the different ideas, right, and go away from there, right, thinking how I could put these different ideas into action that would benefit me. But it seemed to me like some people think that as long as there's a discussion is like some kind of battle to see who win and who lose. But most times that shouldn't be the reason. And you know, I have to say it because it just seems like some people don't understand that. You know, I wouldn't say no more.
All right, my brother. I hear you, and I believe that sometimes, as you say, you know, my purpose in being here is really to engage in conversation. And I know who you are, you know who I am. You and I have clashed in terms of viewpoints. We're on radio when we have spoken to each other out there in the community. But for me, what is important is that the public that is listening at the end of the conversation is more enlightened. I don't come on radio to push propaganda because that is not my role. And I believe if you're accustomed to telling the truth, even where sometimes there are difficulties, you're prepared to say, well, yes, this is a problem. You're prepared to give an honest explanation. And even sometimes if some do not find the explanation acceptable, I think that people go away and say, well, I don't really agree or like, but at least I feel like I was given an honest answer. Some, as you say, on the other hand, are looking raw. That is really what their objective is. But I'm just saying, if they want raw, then go on the political platform for that, because I will then deal with them in a different way, in that different forum. But On the Mark is a special show. It is a show which is pitched at a particularly high level. I have listeners from all over the world who tune in. I want them to get the best in terms of dialogue and debate in this country. Not people who call in and sound as if they might be inebriated, as if they had something to drink. No, you want something that is elevated. And that is what I'm trying to get to people. Not that we will agree. Oh, we have to agree. We're in a democracy, and we know that our democracy is growing. It's strengthening. And sometimes it's raucous. We know that. We know that there will be different points of view. But let us pitch our debate at a level that helps to educate and assist those who are listening. That is all that I am seeking to achieve here. Let's go back to the phones. We missed that caller. Caller, please call back in. 869-469-1616 and 1700. We have about 32 minutes left based on that clock. Let me see what my phone... Yes, 32 minutes left, and so we're taking your calls. So, caller, I just want people to understand that, you know, if all we want is row ranting, I mean, we're capable of that, but that is not what this show is intended to do. And I know Weber Herbert, wherever he is tonight, will still say to me, Mr. Brantley, the standards that you have set and the standards that Von has set, let us adhere to those. We can't account for other people's standards. But here we have a particular standard. That's what we're trying to maintain. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Premier.
Good evening to you.
I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
Why is it, right, government, and I said government because that tends to be the norm around here. I don't know about St. Kitts and Nevis, I don't know about the Caribbean, but as I said, it tends to be the norm. Why is it do we wait until like a special event or occasion coming up to like start to do certain things, whether it's Culturama 50, Independence 40, it's nearing an election, or we have the King or the Queen coming.
Can I ask you something?
Well, as we said too, you don't answer a question with a question.
Well, I'm trying to get some information so I could better answer your question. That's why I'm asking. So can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
You live in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Yes, I am a citizen.
Okay. You know that culturally we have a practice that if you have family and thing coming home, you spruce up the house?
Well, not me. My place always look good.
Okay, so you don't do anything extra if you're having a little get-together, if people are coming to your home?
No, I don't cater for those.
Okay. Well, I think you're unusual in that regard. Because everybody else that I know, people even change a curtain and thing Christmas time. Because everybody wants to present in the best possible way when there is a special occasion.
Yeah.
That is why caller would get dressed up to go to church on Sunday. It's a special occasion. We're going to church. We put on our best to go to the wedding. We want our friends and family who are visiting. That's where we go. We cut the lawn. We make sure that everything is tip-top because we want to welcome our people. That's our culture.
No, but I don't think so, because I think, right, if these things were done before and they were well maintained, we wouldn't have to be spending all these money to fix this, fix that. Me saying you're not going to do a little work or two or a little thing or two here and there. But as I said, if these things were done before and well maintained, the most I think would maybe cut the grass, maybe buy a few more chairs and do a little painting. But as I said, it tends to be the norm around here. Some people might change their curtain, yes, but ain't everybody that buy curtains. Eh?
Okay.
Some people put up the same one from last year as well as some buy.
All right. I hear you and I understand.
I think, right, I am of the impression like we only do these things because we're expecting certain people from overseas. So it seems as though if the people were not coming in from overseas, like you would have just said, yeah, I'll look any old house.
Okay. All right. Well, that is your viewpoint.
It's reality, Mr. Brantley.
Well, I don't know whose reality that is because I just pointed out to you. You say you don't do certain things, and that is entirely permissible.
I don't wait until people come by my house to fix up.
All right. Well, that's you. That's you. But I'm pretty sure that the public out there listening would also agree that people here.
People should always got a place look good, whether people come in or not.
All right. Okay, caller. I don't think.
You have a good night.
All right. You have a good night. All I'm saying is that because your perspective and how you do things is a particular way, doesn't mean that everybody adheres to that. And I think that the public out there understands me fully well, because everybody for an occasion is going to spruce up. We even have a program right now that we're running that people who want to paint up and improve their aesthetics can get duty free, and also we take off the customs service charge to make it more affordable for them to do so, because we know that is our culture. People want to put their best foot forward. Once you know your friends coming, your family coming, you're having a little get together, people are coming home for Christmas, whatever the situation may be, you want to put your best foot forward. And let me just point out that in relation to the Culturama complex and the village, we are expecting a significantly larger number of people to attend the shows and things this year than we would have had in previous years because of the significance. We never again going to be able to celebrate 50 years of Culturama. And I don't anticipate that I will be around to celebrate the next 50 years. So all of these are factors where you want to know, do what you're doing, get it done, make the island sparkle, so that those who come say, wow, look at my home that I have not seen in a while. That is all that this is. So I take your view about maintenance and all that, but everywhere that I know, every country, when you're having the United Nations meeting in New York, big America, they clean up New York, because New York going to be full for the UN. So as I said, if you don't do it, that's okay, but it is an accepted norm in the places I've been, and certainly here in St. Kitts and Nevis, that you put your best foot forward when people are coming to see you. Let's go back to the phones. The phones are ringing. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening, you're on the air.
Yeah, I seem to have a really bad connection.
I'm hearing you quite clearly. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Yes.
This is Elton Marcus Hall. I would like to send my condolences out to my good friend Patty's up in church ground for his loss, and I hope that the Lord
look down upon him and the rest of his family. And all the best. Also like to congratulate you and your daughter for her marriage, and I wish her all the best. Mr. Brantley, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Yes, I really want to thank your staff at the government lab over there at the hospital. I had the occasion to go in there this week, and they were very kind, and I appreciate that. Especially like to say special thanks to Nurse Jan. I find that she was a very, very skilled nurse, very nice young lady, and I wanted to say thank you very much. And I'm the kind of person who have a lot of respect for nurses everywhere. So, but I thought Nurse Jan was very, very skillful, and I wanted to say thank you very much. Mr. Brantley, the other thing I wanted to say is that this is mango season, right? And when you pass by somebody's house and you see a mango tree full of mangoes, and they're ripe, and you're thinking, why are these people not picking the mango, you know? But, you know, I have a friend who told me he woke up this morning and somebody's in his yard picking his mangoes without asking him anything. And I had an extremely hard time digesting that. The idea that somebody would just walk into your yard, see that your car is there, and they go in, open up their bag and start picking your mangoes like it was theirs. I just want to inform people that is called theft. So, you know, please refrain from doing things like that. You know, if you want a mango from somebody's tree, ask them.
Elton.
Yes.
Let me give you a little story, right? True story. I own some land of Hamilton.
Yes.
And one day I decided to just drive up. A little remote-ish area. Well, not so much remote, but not many people lived up there. So I drove up, and as I drove onto my land, 4 fellas were up in my mango tree with some crocus bag, picking the mangoes. Obviously, they were picking to go and sell.
Yeah.
And as I drove onto the land, the fellas looked down at me and they said, "The boss, how you do?" I said, "I'm good." They said, "You want a mango now?" And I told him, "No, I'm okay." And I left. So a fellow later told me, I told him his story, and he said, "Man, you shouldn't make noise, make them come out the tree." I said, "But it's 4 of them, is only me." so I just eased the vehicle out, and I tell the fellas, "Have a nice day," right? And I went about my business. But you're right. I mean, in fact, the law refers to it as predial larceny. It's actually a criminal offense when people come and take your crops or take your fruit in that way. So what you're saying is important, that the public understands that it's actually illegal, and people can be brought up on charges for taking in an unauthorized way, whether it's mangoes or other crops that somebody has in their property.
You know, but Mr. Brantley, it's important to people know we live in a society that's supposed to be governed by laws, you know, and like I say, I always felt like if I was going somewhere and I see something that I wanted, I would ask whoever owns it. I got one other question to ask you, Mr. Brantley. Do you think it's right for someone to go and lie to the police and have the police victimize someone because of those lies?
No, I don't.
That's right.
I don't think that is right at all.
You know, it's something that I have been wrestling with now for some time, because that seemed to be going on here in the Federation, and it just seemed like every time I ask someone, they say, "Well, it's not against the law." And I'm saying, you know, if that's the case, there should be some kind of legislation, right? So I hope you can shed a little light on that. I'm going to go off the air and listen. Again, congratulations to your daughter. I wish you all the best. And I want to say again, thank you very much to Nurse Jan at the lab. And as always, I always like to big up my lawyer for doing an excellent job for me, and I know that she does an excellent job for her client. Mr. Brantley, have a good night, and have a good, take care of yourself.
All right, thank you very much. Just to say that filing a false police report is a criminal offense, and the police can in fact take some action against people who file false or malicious reports, so create a narrative for the police that, as you say, leads the police in a wild goose chase. It wastes precious time of the police. It ties up resources that could be utilized elsewhere, but it also means that that kind of activity can lead to the violation of an innocent person's rights. So that's very important, caller, the point that you've raised. But I don't think this suggestion that, oh well, there's no law against it, so people can do it. No. I can't call up the police and say I saw some crime being committed or something being done by you, and therefore they should go, when I know that that is false, and I'm doing it only so that they can harass you because I don't like you or because you and I have a dispute of some kind. So I want to make that very clear. People ought to go to the police always with accurate information, and if they're going to do a report, then that report must be based on fact, not fiction, not imagination, not something that they would have made up. That's very important. We have about 19 minutes left, and we're taking as many calls as we can at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. You know, it's interesting because I'm getting calls and messages. If you see me on my phone, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, just that I'm trying to keep track of so many people who are sending in messages. A lady just sent a message to tell me she doesn't know what people are talking about because there are potholes in Georgia in the United States where she lives. She said we have potholes too. These are things that happen, and it's not unique to Nevis. Another woman just messaged me to say that in Anguilla they're building a whole new entertainment facility at the Lansom Bowl. They've broken down what was, and what are they doing it for? Because this year they're celebrating their big 50th anniversary of Anguilla Carnival as well. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, let me just say quickly so I can get back to my cricket. It's World Cup time now, so that's very important to me. But I'm calling for two specific reasons, and but before I get into that, I also would like to congratulate your daughter and Mark for these very important decisions and wish them all the very best.
Thank you.
Mark would have mentioned to me sometime was it last year, earlier, about the event. So I was aware of it, and really happy for them. Yeah, and as I say, I wish them all the best. But the two reasons why I call, firstly, is to tell you, which you perhaps might have heard by now, that which I also mentioned on this program before, that shortly we'll have the first petition in the West Indies team, because we have been delayed over the years, but we will not be denied. And I am very happy and proud that the chairman of selectors for the West Indies selection panel has decided to call it right and to give Michael Louis, he has been the best batsman, not only as an opening batsman, but in the whole West Indies 4-day tournament. And we are extremely proud of him and his outstanding performance, where he scored a whopping 682 runs and an average just over 48, and we are extremely proud with 3 centuries and 4 half centuries, dominated the tournament, and has been rewarded and selected and will be on his way shortly to England in that test match series. So my prediction, which I had every confidence that this will come to a reality, it was only a matter of time. So we congratulate the young man and we wish him all the very best.
Well,
just before we go...
No, don't go yet, because I want to join you in congratulating young Mr. Louis. I don't know him, but I want to join in congratulating him. I was actually waiting until I had an opportunity in the Parliament, because I think that that is where it deserves to be mentioned. But you have raised it on the air tonight, and so I will say congratulations to him. I think it's an historic time for St. Kitts, and by extension the Federation, because St. Kitts has not, until now, had the distinction of putting a player there. Based on what I've heard, because I'm told he played a lot of his cricket in Nevis. I learned that.
Yeah, which I did mention to you when he scored a century in one of his matches.
Right. Well, I did not. I confess I did not remember that. But recently somebody told me that he played a lot of his cricket in Nevis. And based on the form that he's in and what I'm seeing, I'm really predicting great things for this youngster. I'm told he has a brother who might also be knocking on the door.
Well, I can tell you that his brother also, which I am disappointed in this particular position for him not to be called, because he has been the best fast bowler in the region and has been very consistent over the years. He's older than the present one who has been selected.
Yes.
But he has been very consistent. 1 year after taking some 40 wickets in the tournament, was not given an opportunity. He would have played for the West Indies A team and things like that, but has not been given the opportunity where other people who would have done nowhere close his quality of performance, and they were given the opportunity. And now coming back this year, really was in pinker form in terms of his outstanding performance as a fast bowler, the best in the region. And English condition is the suited condition where the West Indies should have selected him, because nobody in the West Indies swing the ball like this young man. Nobody, I can tell you. So, but I guess they maybe think that only one is good enough, and they will just leave the other one out. But I'm confident that he will also get his opportunity, and it might just be on this also present tour, because we might have injuries. So I am waiting for that opportunity. When that comes, that he will get his rightful call to join his brother and make their contribution which they rightfully deserve.
All right. Well, thank you very much. The reason why I mentioned that young Mikhail, I was told, played a lot of cricket in Nevis is because I was among some division cricketers and enthusiasts, and they too were saying that he was an exceptional talent. And they were able to say that, they say, because they had been able to observe him as he played cricket here on Nevis. So we certainly want to congratulate and to associate ourselves with congratulating young Mr. Louis. And I'm optimistic. I have a good feeling that he will do well in England. And you know, if you go to England and you do well, you help to cement your place in terms of West Indies cricket. So St. Kitts has been forced to wait for a very long time. I've heard a lot of greats come out of St. Kitts who did not make it to the West Indies team. But we understand the politics of it as well. Let us not be naive. There were many here in Nevis that we thought, Livingston Sargent, everybody said should have been on West Indies. You know, Van Samry, you know, Theodore Hobson back in the day. And a lot of people, a lot of names. And then, of course, when you go to St. Kitts, you have Victor Eddy, you have you know.
I wouldn't even go into the name because I really want to get back to my cricket, and I just.
So I'm just saying to you that I have a good feeling that the young man is going to do well, and I wish him all the best. So go ahead and wrap up now in terms of what your point was that you needed to make. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that our convention for the People's Action Movement, the best political party in the Federation where we have in our convention on Sunday, and we expect to have a packed house. Anybody who missed the convention on Sunday will have serious regrets, and we expect it's going to be a yellow house. It's going to be a spectacle, and we are looking forward to have a wonderful time. Started off with the worship, giving thanks to the Master for his goodness, and we will continue the action after that, going right up into the afternoon, into the evening, and we hope to really have a great time at our party headquarters. We are perhaps maybe the only party in the Federation, well, I am not aware of any other party which has officially a political headquarters where they can host any kind of functions, and we continue to do that at our party headquarters when we choose to do that, because we are very proud of our outstanding record as a party. But I will just leave it there because Australia is not doing too well, but one of the favorite in this tournament, 114 for 3, and I'm going to go back to join my cricket and give you the opportunity to wrap up your program, and to wish this proud and beautiful federation and the parents of Mr. Louis, who have done a tremendous job in terms of their contribution and leadership and support to this young man, and I'm extremely, extremely proud for what they would have done for him.
All right, so you before you go, I know you say you want to go back to your cricket, but I didn't hear you congratulate Natasha as the leader-elect of PAM, the first woman to lead a political party in St. Kitts.
Well, we are extremely proud, as I did say to you before, whoever becomes our political leader will be 150%, and I can even increase that to 1,000% behind our leader, which, yes, I would have congratulated her personally, and I am looking forward for the celebration, because it's going to be a celebration in a big way at the party headquarters and Sunday. So congratulations, and also history being the first female to lead a political party on the island of St. Kitts. And we are very, very proud of Natasha and what we expect her to do in the future.
All right, my brother. Enjoy your cricket, and we look forward to seeing what comes out of your convention. All right?
Okay.
Thank you very much. And that, I think, is interesting news that young Natasha, an attorney on St. Kitts, that she is the leader-elect of the People's Action Movement, waiting on the convention for confirmation of that. I did indicate congratulations to her via my social media page, and I certainly wish her and her team all the very best. It's an uphill road, but what I was delighted at is that she's young, she's female, and it really is going to open doors for other youngsters to step up and step forward. And that process of renewal is critical as we look always to new leadership coming in and new blood coming in, new ideas and new energy into the body politic of the country. Let me go back to the phones, then we have 7 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yeah, good evening again, Premier Brantley.
Yes, good evening.
Premier Brantley, this talk about whether it be government or whoever, whether it be public or private entities, right? This talk about having everything done at the same time is not grounded in reality. It never happened. It didn't even happen with Almighty God. God took 6 days and made the earth. Could you imagine if everything was done at the same time? Well, that means the first, let's say government, that means the first government would have done everything that the island need, and there would be no need for anything else. I wonder if some people are thinking when they're talking. It never happened yet. Everything cannot be done at the same time. Some people, the government
there is 20 things to be done. The government choose to do 10. And people calling you, oh, why you not do this one? Why you not do that one? They don't understand that everything cannot be done at the same time. Not even Almighty God did it that way. You know, you know, and then when Jesus was here, you know, Mary and Martha, their brother was sick, and they came to Jesus and told him and so on. And Jesus took his time, and didn't go right away. And they said, if you had come earlier, he would not have died. Not even God operate that way. I don't know what some people are saying. Good night.
All right. Thank you very much for the comment. And, you know, listen, we live in a democracy, and we understand that when you're in opposition, you say night and you say it's day, and you say day and you say it's night. And I think that's sometimes what it is. I am hopeful. Well, I was spent some time in opposition, and I think I provided robust opposition. I was very involved in the debate. But I always try to offer an alternative. Because to me, what is the point of everything you see? You just cuss. You don't offer any suggestions, you don't offer any alternative, you don't offer any other way forward. I hear a narrative now creeping into Nevis where when the government performs and does things, they say, oh, that's nothing to talk about. Every government's supposed to do that. Well, caller, if I give you a job to do, to put up a building, and you then said, boy, I built the building well. Well, what am I going to do? Cuss you and tell you well, that is what you're supposed to do? No. That is a job that you're given. And so the fact that you performed your job and you performed your job well is a matter for which you should be given credit. So a lot of the times I hear the debate, and you know, the problem that we have in Nevis, some people only listen to themselves. So they listen to the same story over and over and over and over until they start to say it. No matter how stupid the story sounds, they just regurgitate it. I have a caller. Let me take this call because I have about 4 minutes left. So let me go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Okay, that caller didn't stay with us. Caller, we have a few minutes. So if you want to call back in, we'll certainly take the call. But you know, the same narrative, and that's why I've said sometimes, you know, you may change the clothes from a pants to a skirt, but it's the same old khaki. Because nothing new, no breath of fresh air. I just mentioned Natasha Gray becoming the leader of PAM. I'm hopeful that she brings something new. Because if she comes and it's the same old politics, nothing new, no new ideas, no new level of discourse with the public, people can just strip them out. And that is the problem we've had in Nevis, you know. In the last decade in Nevis, NRP has had Joseph Parry as leader. Then after Mr. Parry left, they had Elhanzil Hector as leader. He went away. They had the CFBC fellow there, I could never remember, Daly as leader. And then they have Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge as leader. First female leader of the party. What has been the difference in NRP in terms of the tone, the content, the approach in relation to those different leaders? And the answer is nothing. Not a thing. It has just been the same old khaki pants. Parry is gone now, retired. Hector take it, make runway. CFBC fella, well, he see that chat, but nobody has studied he. And then Dr. Daniel is there, Janice Hodge is there. But what is Janice bringing? Same old. There's no articulation of new ideas and certain visions. Boy, be excited about something because this is what we bring in that's different. The music is playing and I got to sign off, but I got to tell you all, NRP has created history in this island, you know? You know why? The last election, big election here in Nevis, 2022. And NRP didn't write one line to say they promise or commit to anything. No projects, no ideas, no manifesto. None. All they did was run a campaign, so we fed up with them, get rid of them. Mark this, mark that, mark. That is all, every campaign. Same old khaki pants. And that's been the issue. Music is playing. The orchestra has struck up. We gotta go. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here. And remember, this Sunday starting at 3:30, we're inviting all the men in Nevis to go down to the MJR Park and be a part of that men's health event that's happening there. It's an important event. We ask you to take advantage of it. That's our show. Good night and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting